Hogan. What do you think? Lucy said expectantly. I resettled the glasses on the bridge of my nose. Well, I love the dress and the wings are great. She pouted as only a 7-year-old can pout. But I'm not sure about the tail. She gave a quick glance behind at a fluffy cat's tail velcro to her tutu and then crossed her arms. What's wrong with the tail? I trod carefully. I've been born to do so. I don't think fairies have tails. She looked at me surprised. They fly, don't they? Well, yes, I admitted. Like a bird. Or an airplane. Yes. Which have tails. I laughed. Well, not everything that flies has tails. The arms tightened across the ruffled pink top. Name one. She had me for a moment, and she knew it. See, she declared victorious. A bumblebee? I said slowly, uncertainly. She shifted from side to side, presumably working through what little she knew about bumblebees, which couldn't have been any less than what I did. Where do they keep their stings? She asked. Fairies don't have stings, I said, backpedaling somewhat. Mine do, she said. I was so busy preparing my next reply that I took a moment for the strangeness of what she just said to sink in. What do you mean, mine? I asked. The ones in the garden. The ones that took Fatima. I heard all about Fatima, of course, from Lucy's bookish parents. She was strictly never to be mentioned for fear it would bring another one of the episodes, though they hadn't told me what to do if Lucy had mentioned her first. It can't be easy when you're a kid to have your au-pair go missing like that and for the media circus to descend upon the house. The way the parents had described it, it had been a difficult 6 months, and this was the first time they had trusted anyone to take care of Lucy since the disappearance. I decided it would be best if I focused on the tricky questions of the fancy dress costume. I was fairly certain that if I didn't manage to convince her to ditch the tail, she'd be a laughing stock at her new school's Christmas disco, and this was an argument I was not willing to lose for her sake. Lucy, what do fairy tales look like? I asked slyly. Oh, all sorts, she said, reaching behind to grab hold. Some are long, some are scaly, some are short, and some are curly. Like pigtails, I interrupted, amazed once more by her imagination. She nodded solemnly. Some are spiky and some are fluffy. Ha! With pom-poms! I sprung the trap. She considered this in all seriousness. No, I can't remember any pom-poms. She looked closely at the end of her cat's tail. Do you think I should cut it off? If you do that, I said, you won't be able to use it as a cat's tail anymore. She contemplated my sage advice before suddenly brightening. Do you want to see them? The costumes? I asked suspiciously. No, silly. The fairies. Come on, come on. And with that, she grabbed my hand and began tugging me towards the kitchen door. I wonder what they would be. Garden ornaments, perhaps, or invisible friends created to make sense of what had happened to our au-pair. I peered into the evening's thickening gloom. She laughed. I haven't called them yet. She began to chant. A strange, guttural, made-up language, deeper than I would have credited a 7-year-old could even manage. Gave me the creeps. She drew to a halt. The final thrash repeated stunts lingering in the air. And then we waited. I began to feel cold and stupid, and was about to drag her back into the warm, brightly lit hall when something flitted before her eyes and Lucy's hand tightened to mine. It must have been a bat, I thought, the way it swooped. And there it went again, or was that another one? And as my eyes began to adjust to the dark, I picked out legs and arms and grinning faces, and they began to look less than bats. For a moment, just a moment, the world was suddenly a magical place full of wonders, and a place where 7-year-olds could call fairies from their back gardens, even if they were a little darker than I expected. And weren't they supposed to glow or something? I heard laughters. and chattering voices as they circled closer and closer. "They like you," Lucy squealed. "I knew they would. They like me damn too much." I felt something brush behind my neck, and loose hair was suddenly and painfully plucked free. I raised my free hand to fan them off and immediately felt a sharp thing. Ow! I looked down at the little 3 jewels of blood rising on the back of my hand. As I stared, one of them landed on my wrist and stood proudly there. A nightmare image unlike that of any kid's book. I saw wings, less like a butterfly one and more like torn parchments. And I saw a body that was a deep, glistening red. No wonder they had been so hard to see. A small, leering head, complete with a pair of miniature horns and a really tail busy wrapping itself around my thumb. As it leant forward with 3 pronged spears, a trident, and delicately dipped it in the 3 wells of blood as if trying it for a size and as if saying, "Yes, I did that," before suddenly springing back into the air with a nasty little laugh. "They like you a lot," Lucy exclaimed, letting go off of my hand and stepping back until I could hardly see her anymore through the dark cloud of flapping wings. "I think they want to play with you," she giggled. "Just like Fatima."